Hello, this is Group 5, Reactions Engineering from the University of South Florida. Our group leader is Cheryl Avery, members Justin Loomis, Anthony Moriali, Rajan Patel, and I'm Tom Arapi. We chose to do our group project on alcohol metabolism in the human body because we wanted to analyze how human bodies deal with ethanol present in alcoholic drinks and how the concentration changes over time. We also wanted to see how alcohol enters the bloodstream and how it affects the BAC, or blood alcohol content. In order to do this, we had to take a couple of different parameters into consideration, and those are weight, age, gender, and what the person ate before having that alcoholic drink. There's a big difference between having a big plate of rice and chicken versus having just one cracker, for example. Those are some of the factors that affect the time the liver needs to break down one alcoholic drink. So what's considered one standard alcoholic drink? According to the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, one standard drink would be about 12 ounces of regular beer, which contains about 5% alcohol, 8 to 9 ounces of malt liquor with 7% alcohol, 5 ounces of table wine with about 12% alcohol, and 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits like gin, rum, tequila, and whiskey with about 40% alcohol. And we chose to do one standard drink because that's on average the amount of alcohol that liver can metabolize in 1 hour. Now Rajan is going to tell you what happens to the ethanol once it enters our bodies.
The metabolism and breakdown of alcohol starts from the mouth, where some of the alcohol gets diffused and leaves your body through breath. The second part of the breakdown takes place when the alcohol travels down to your small intestines and into your stomach. A small portion of it gets broken down. However, the majority of the breakdown and metabolism of alcohol takes place in the liver, where the liver cells pick up that alcohol is a foreign object, and they secrete an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol dehydrogenase breaks down alcohol into acetaldehyde and protons. These proton molecules are further used in the electron transport chain, which makes ATP. Acetaldehyde is poisonous to the body, and once the body recognizes this, it has to produce a second enzyme. So moving on to the next slide, acetaldehyde is further broken down again into acetic acid, which is then broken down into acetyl radicals and more protons. This happens because acetaldehyde is known as a foreign object to our body also. There have been studies done by scientists where they try to figure out whether it's the acetaldehyde or the alcohol that causes the side effect of drinking alcohol. No evidence was shown that either one of these compounds are responsible for the side effects. Therefore, it can't be concluded that acetaldehyde or alcohol is responsible for the side effects taking place. The hydrogen that's produced gets further used up in the electron transport chain, which is then used for ATP, and the acetyl radicals are then further broken down in the body and released and used in the body for further experiments. Next, Anthony Moriali is going to talk about the approach that we took in metabolizing the alcohol in the human body.
So when going about the model for the metabolic rate versus time, specifically in the liver, we focus on two equations. First would be the equation that converts ethanol into aldehyde and then aldehyde into acetic acid, like Raj was talking about. The design parameters are going to be a BAC test, blood alcohol content test, which is going to be taken to monitor the level of alcohol in the individual. Sex, age, which individual characteristics of the participant are going to be also controlled. There's going to be a male, adult, somewhere, a young adult, somewhere around 20 to 40. The environmental effects, such as habits, genetics, they are also going to be tried to be mitigated, but that is hard to control. Constant volume for this batch reaction will be liver, stomach, and intestines. Liver is where the reaction takes place, so that is where the aldehyde and acetic acid are going to be produced. Other parts, such as the stomach and intestines, are not going to be considered for the model because they are mainly diffusion. The alcohol is mainly absorbed by diffusion in those parts of the body. Next slide. Data will be collected via the breathalyzer from a standard adult male. Safety for these participants will be a doctor's physical. This doctor's physical will be presented to us. Just make sure the participant is healthy and can go along with the experiment. Overconsumption will be avoided by only administering one shot, which will give us some sufficient data to have both experimental and theoretical models. Modeling of the theoretical process was done via MATLAB for a batch reactor, and Justin will tell you about that.
We had created the MATLAB code to model the time it would take for the human body to metabolize ethanol. This was done using Metabolism enzyme kinetics. We had some difficulties in modeling due to the way that the human body metabolizes ethanol. To combat this, we had split up the liver into 3 different components using 3 different equations for each component. Now, some assumptions that we also had to make to accurately model this is that the operation was done in a well-mixed scenario, as well as that the liver was the only organ taking place of any sort of reaction. Now, getting into the results, we can see that the time it would take for ethanol to be fully metabolized by the body. We can also note that the rate at which acetic acid is being produced is relatively similar to that of what ethanol is being metabolized. You can also note that the acetaldehyde is being both produced and consumed relatively at the same rate, giving a very low concentration throughout the entire time. Now, Cheryl will give us some final thoughts.
Research has shown how alcohol use and the problems associated with it are strongly influenced by variations in an individual's ability to metabolize alcohol. There are many genetic and environmental factors associated with how efficient the body can metabolize ethanol. Some genetic factors include mutations in the genetic code of the enzymatic protein, which have the possibility of increasing or decreasing the rate of the metabolism in an individual's body. Environmental factors also significantly affect the efficiency of alcohol metabolism in the body. A person's overall health can greatly influence a person's ability to metabolize ethanol. If they consume alcohol on a regular basis or abuse it, the concentration of the enzymes involved can change and strongly affect the rate of metabolism. Because of these factors, some people will have a greater risk of alcohol-related problems in their life, even if they consume an equivalent amount of alcohol compared to someone who will not suffer from any ill effects. The following shows the references used for this presentation about metabolism in the human body. If you would like to know more information, feel free to view these helpful links provided on this slide. Thank you very much for taking the time to view our presentation about metabolism in the human body. We hope you learned some interesting facts about how exactly alcohol is broken down into smaller molecules and how the body metabolizes alcohol.